Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. You just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Judd's pigskin pecking order is fresh out of the oven here, where Judd will tell us who the top 10 teams in the NFL are and where the Vikings rank. And we will also give you an If the Playoffs Started Today snapshot here on Purple Daily. Let's open up the Prize Picks app real quick, where they have a new Thanksgiving free square. You can pick Tyreek Hill in that Dolphins-Packers game. He only needs 0.5 receiving yards to cash that free pick. So I actually just did that here before. Let me pull this open here. Those are the past ones where old Macadac's been doing pretty well the last couple weeks here. So I'm going here. You can see it right here on my phone. It's that easy. You open the Prize Picks app. I'll take that 0.5 Tyreek Hill. I'm going to take Aaron Jones more than 66.5 rushing yards. And I think the world is still sleeping on this version of Caleb, so I'll take Caleb Williams more than 229.5 passing yards. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You select between 2 and 6 players. You pick more or less on their projected stats, and you place your entry. It's that easy. Download the Prize Picks app and use the code PURPLEDAILY to get $50 instantly when you play just $5. That's code PURPLEDAILY on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play just $5.
Football.
Love it. Love it. Just like I love football.
All right, tell us who the top 10 teams in the National Football League are here, Sports Dad.
All right, version 5 of this, and I had to I was up late last night burning the midnight oil because we had a great Monday night game. Ordinary, like lots of times it's like, I can knock this off at 3 o'clock on Monday. Not last night. Had to be up last night awaiting Chargers, Ravens. Things have changed.
Harbaugh Bowl.
Things have changed. Yeah. And the Chargers, we'll get to them. They're an interesting case. They're an interesting team.
Yeah, they're definitely like way better than the Brandon Staley Chargers, but it's going to take more than 1 year to get like the full turnaround probably. So
Exactly. So let's first go to who's dropped out of the Zolgad pigskin pecking order rankings. Who's out? That would be the Vikings opponent on Sunday at US Bank Stadium. See ya, Arizona Cardinals.
Peace.
They are out. They came back from their bye and played a terrible game, which concerns me for the Vikings' sake a little bit, against Seattle on Sunday. 6-5. The problem is, and this division's so jumbled and weird that the Cardinals have moments where they look definitely good, and then there's times where they look pedestrian. So they're out. And so just for context here, playoff teams out are the same as last week. No Falcons, no Commanders, no Texans, no Broncos. The only one of those 4 teams that won, because the Falcons were on a bye, was the Broncos, who beat the Raiders. Broncos' biggest impediment, their strength of victory is 325. So they're beating up on some teams that aren't great.
But they're plus 62 though. I mean, they actually have a higher point differential. They've played it one extra game though than the Chiefs.
Yep.
They have a higher point differential than the Chiefs, and Bo Nix is playing his ass off.
Yep, and that's great, but they're being dragged down by the fact that they're beating up on some bad teams. And look, you know what? They might be next in. You never know what's going to happen because version of 6 is coming next week. Don't miss that one. All right.
Football.
Start at the bottom and move our way to the top. Number 10 remains unchanged. Despite the loss to the Ravens last night, the Los Angeles Chargers remain 10. 7-4, point differential plus 68. They are strength of schedule 472. What drags them down is their strength of victory. It's better than the Broncos. It's not great, though. 333. So I am leaving them where they were. Still like them, but I'm sort of on the border with them, and I'm not quite sure. So anyway, Chargers are 10.
First of all, like Harbaugh, even with the loss last night, Jim Harbaugh, they put the graphic up of like the first year he gets to the new place, and it's crazy. Every time he jumps in somewhere, it's an immediate overnight turnaround. Their schedule gets a little dicey here at Atlanta next week or this upcoming weekend, and then at Kansas City, Sunday Night Football, Tampa, Denver. They do finish with New England and Vegas, so that's at the very least they'll get to 9 wins, but they play some really tough games.
Yep.
Kind of between those gimmies at the end.
I would call it prove it time for the Chargers. Number 9, a new team, first time ever in the rankings, the Seattle Seahawks. Some impressive things here.
Wow.
So they beat the Cardinals on Sunday. They're 6-5. They're only a +2 in point differential. They've won 2 consecutive games. Here's what's impressive. Their strength of schedule is 512. Okay, that's fine. Their strength of victory, 471. 471. The Seattle Seahawks appear to have their defense now how they want it. Like they released, I think they're, if I'm not mistaken, leading tackler a couple weeks ago. Some odd moves here and there. But Phil, your guy, Michael McDonald, is doing a great job with the Seahawks.
Yeah, but there's such a long way to go on the schedule. So
Minute by minute.
It's got to take it minute by
minute.
I can't believe we haven't used this more. In fact,
Well,
Michael
hey.
McDonald.
If the Vikings play the Seahawks in Seattle the first round of the playoffs, you can close your ears all week long. But, you know, they're still kind of riding the Pete Carroll culture that was built over a decade and a half, too. We talk about the Steelers always being competitive and always being above 500. The Seahawks are pretty similar in that way over the years. Now, they were a 7-win team in 2021. But the last time they were worse than 7-9 or 7-10 was back in 2009. So you got to go back like 15 years the last time they were not really competitive in a season. They're just always, even when they're transitioning, it's like, Geno Smith is kind of our quarterback right now. They're still fighting to win 9 games and get to the playoffs, and they can hang with anyone. So, yeah, they're sneaky dangerous, the Seahawks.
All right. Number 8, standing pat. This is a tough one. This gets to be very competitive now. Standing pat after a win over the 49ers at home. It was an impressive win, but then San Francisco's also without so many guys. It's the Green Bay Packers. They're 8-3, which is great, plus 65 in the point differential. They've won 2 consecutive games. Their strength of schedule is 528. Their strength of victory is 411. And now you're going to ask, so why are they not higher? Why are they not with the likes of Philadelphia and the Vikings? Well, they've lost to both those teams. So that hurts them, in my opinion. Could the Packers be higher than 8th? You could argue that, but again, it's competitive. I'll give you this one before you comment. Number 7, dropping from number 4, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Weird loss, Cleveland snow game, but this time of year, you know what? Sports Dad's passing judgment. He's passing judgment, and it can be harsh. 8-3, plus 66, so they are 1 point better on the plus side in point differential. They did lose. 432 strength of schedule. Their strength of victory, though, is 462, which exceeds the Packers. So Steelers and Packers 7-8, Phil.
Packers ran the ball 42 times down the Niners' throats. A lot of first half run game damage between the 20s, and then second half it was just Josh Jacobs at the 1-yard line 3 different times, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, the Packers, Jordan Love has been shaky, and he's been turning the ball over. He's not the same guy he was down the stretch.
Yes.
But one area where Matt LaFleur deserves a lot of credit is like really creative run game schemer. Just a lot of 2 running back sets that are tight end in the backfield kind of stuff.
Yes.
Very 49ers like when they've got the whole thing operating at full strength. So that's and the Packers also tend to get better in November and December historically under Matt LaFleur. So that should be fun in a few weeks. Should be fun.
LaFleur's had a great season.
Yep.
Like coaching wise, play calling wise, he's been fantastic. All right, number 6, the Ravens. Up 1 spot, as we talked about. They beat the Chargers on Monday Night Football. They're 8-4. They are a plus 70 in point differential. Here's what's really impressive. Strength of schedule and strength of victory are the same, 522.
Yeah.
So they are beating some tough tough competition. So Baltimore is number 6.
Did you see last night? So the Ravens have former Gophers offensive tackle Daniel Fa'alele playing right guard for them. He's like 380 pounds. He's one of the biggest guards who's ever played in the NFL. And they have that dude. Think about being a defense. And Baltimore queues up like a read option where it's either Lamar Jackson or Derrick Henry, who is a right tackle playing running back in terms of size, with 380-some pound Daniel Fa'alele pulling around the edge, just clearing dudes out.
Yeah,
it would be exhausting to defend that for 3 hours.
Absolutely. If you think about two, so Saquon goes from the Giants to Philadelphia, and Henry goes from the Titans to the Ravens. If you think about like those two changes, and the seismic effect that they have had, it's a big story. I think it's really interesting.
It is.
And to his credit, I thought Derrick Henry might be beat up to a point of not being as effective. He's been a magnificent part of that offense in Baltimore. So
Yep.
All right, now we enter the top 5.
Here we
top
go.
5.
There we go.
Football.
Standing pat at number 5 after a hard-fought victory at Soldier Field, the 9-2 Vikings. Point differential plus 77, pretty damn good. They have won 4 consecutive games on the heels of back-to-back defeats within 5 days. Strength of schedule for the Vikings, 439. Strength of victory, 386. So I've gone through some teams from 6 to 10 that have a better strength of victory. But again, with the Packers, so far, the Vikings beat them. And the Vikings have enough going, I think, point differential-wise, that they beat Chicago. They don't deserve to drop, so they don't drop. They stay at 5.
You know, I was talking to a friend sort of generally about the Vikings yesterday, and they said, it's like just overall, what do you make of this team? You know, they've had some kind of weird games lately. And my exact answer to that friend was, they're like the 5th best team in the NFL.
See,
So do what you want with that information.
And we didn't text or talk.
No, they're like the 5th
text
best team in the NFL.
Yep.
Which, okay, we can poke at the difference between being 5th and 1st, but not a lot of people expected them to be like the 5th best team in the NFL around Thanksgiving.
No. And I would say, to go back to the conversation that we had on Monday, I would say the biggest difference among them, between this and 22, point differential. You know? Because you were hovering back then, around 0, -3, +2, plus 77 is pretty damn good.
Yep. And a lot of that was built up earlier, and I get that people would like to see them just sort of stomp a couple teams out here. Maybe they have a blowout or two in them in the next few weeks. We'll see.
Well, the one thing I don't get about that, though, is, and I don't disagree with your point, but the Tennessee win for a road win was pretty decisive.
It was. It should have been 30-6. It wound up being 23-13.
Well, and the Chicago game should have been, like, that's the funny thing. But I thought the Titans win. You go on the road, you win by that amount. That, in my opinion, has to be considered pretty comfortable, especially on a road game. All right.
Yeah.
Football.
Number 4, there's no denying it. They moved up from 6. I fought it last night. I fought the urge. I fought it, and I lost the fight. Number 4, the Philadelphia Eagles. So they beat the Rams. They are 9-2. They've won 7 consecutive games. Their point differential is now a plus 97. Strength of schedule, 410. Strength of victory, much like the Vikings, it doesn't knock your socks off. It's 390, but they did go in, road game, the Rams. The Vikings didn't win there. Philadelphia did. I sort of fought this one, but there is no denying the Eagles are red hot, so I put them at number 4.
Eagles and Ravens both really similar in a couple ways, where you've got frustratingly mobile quarterback that you have to deal with. Then you've got awesome, hard to tackle running back who's explosive and can break a 70-yard run from anywhere on the field. Weapons on the edges, and then brick house offensive linemen that are flying around and pulling guards and stuff. So, yeah, the Eagles, the biggest questions have been sort of chemistry and head coach, and are they going to fall apart at the seams? Well, they haven't lost in 2 months. So,
Right.
they're kind of back.
They're number 4. Number 3, weird team, but they won back-to-back championships, and I'm not going to drop them because of this. It's the Kansas City Chiefs who barely get by the Panthers, which is weird. I think there is a frustration there that they aren't blowing out teams, partially because, they became used to blowing out teams like Carolina. They're 10-1, though. Point differential is weird. Plus 52. Most teams would take that. Kansas City obviously probably wants that to be more towards what the Vikings or Philadelphia has. Strength of schedule, 488. Strength of victory, 455. That's not bad. So the Chiefs remain third. Anybody else, I think I would just drop them a bit because I like it's 10-1, but it sort of feels a little bit weird. But they've won back-to-back titles, and until they do something that shows, okay, they're not the same team, I struggle to move them out of that top 5.
I think they're bored. I'll compare it to some NBA teams like this happened to the Bulls a couple times, or like the Warriors, where you're okay. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't. I don't know what the right word is. Maybe complacent, but it's just we've won. We've been to the top of the mountain multiple times.
Yeah.
We have been overstimulated with championships, and quite frankly, a trip to Carolina to play a 2-win Panthers team on November 23rd or whatever doesn't get us excited. And you can rip them for that. But it kind of feel like there's definitely another level or two that they will find come January.
Well, that's what I'm.
Or maybe they feel around in the dark for the light switch and they can't find it, and boom, Josh Allen is standing there when you flip the light on.
Well, or can you accidentally complacent yourself into a first round upset? I don't know the answer.
Or you lose a couple games down the stretch and you play a road game in a situation where you otherwise would have been hosting.
Yeah, it feels like even though they're 10-1, and to be honest, they have the Raiders, the Browns, Houston, who hasn't been that good. They're going to finish in Denver. This is very much on track to be a 14-win team. And it does still feel like it's the most vulnerable of the Mahomes teams, but you can't get too excited about the Chiefs being vulnerable when Patrick Mahomes is their quarterback.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it's like they're going to find a weird way. Pacheco comes back, I think, this week too, but they're going to find some weird way to just dagger you in the middle of the fourth quarter of a playoff game. So, okay.
Number 2, coming off a bye. Of course, it's the same. The Buffalo Bills, 9-2, point differential plus 106, which would be really impressive, except for when I get to the top-ranked team's point differential. They've won 6 consecutive games. Strength of schedule, 480. Strength of victory, 450. The Bills coming off the win against Kansas City, be back in action this weekend, but the Buffalo Bills are number 2.
Yeah.
And then number 1, obviously, it's the same, holding steady 5 consecutive weeks. All my sheets here, never changes. And it's unbelievable because in my lifetime, I never thought that this would occur. The Detroit Lions coming off a probably less than inspiring win against the Colts, but that's only because we expect Detroit and Jared Goff to put out 50-point burgers on teams now. 10-1, point differential plus 177. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
They've won 9 consecutive games. The strength of schedule is 488. Their strength of victory actually exceeds that, 491. So we go Lions, Bills, Chiefs, Eagles, Vikings, 6-10, Ravens, Steelers, Packers, Seahawks, and Chargers.
Yep. Yeah, that team is a force, man. The Lions are a force. And any sort of lingering doubt based on what we've seen decade after decade doesn't really apply here. It is 100% the best team in the NFL and the team to beat in the NFC playoff bracket. And I think Vikings fans, what you can take solace in is you're one of the only teams the entire year that's given this Lions team a real fight. In fact, if the Vikings complete a pass with 2 minutes to go, 2.5 minutes to go to a wide open Justin Jefferson, not wide open, but a pass you've completed all year, you win that game.
If Addison doesn't undercut the route too, then that route tree is right. That route tree was all messed up. But that's a disappointing loss now because you had every chance to win and you got off to a great start at home.
Yep. Okay, if the playoffs started today, let's give people a run through this bracket here. Presented in part by Spidex, helping to Spidex went into the Zolgad basement and took care of business recently.
If you see a mouse in your house today, guess what you do? You don't worry about playoff implications. You worry about cleaning that house up and cleaning it out. And Spidix is going to do the job every time. I'm telling you right now. You talk about all-stars, pest all-stars. Spidix came to my house. They've come to my house twice now. The first time to survey things, put down some gauges to find out where these critters were coming in. And then, just as you see right there, they came the second time and sealed my house up, did a fantastic job. I'm telling you, folks, Spidix, they are the answer for pests, for mice, for spiders. And right now, here's the offer, $125 off your first service by calling 952-333-8813 or check them out at Spidix.com. That's Spidix, SPIDEXX.com. I'm telling you, coming from Sports Dad, I had mice. I tried to catch them myself. It didn't work out. Spidix came, took care of the problem.
Listen, I would probably just, if I had mice in my house right now, I'd probably just go to Black Stack Brewing and just figure it out later. I'd go to the tap room, which is I could do that. Just go to Black Stack, maybe grab a local 755 New England IPA or a Slopes French Pilsner while Judd calls Spidix for me. The second largest tap room in the state of Minnesota, inside a former Spam Can factory. I was over there last week. Just an awesome place to bring a group or to belly up or to watch a game. They have a massive, massive screen on the wall to be entertained by. Black Stack, you can find a full listing of all the different locations to buy Black Stack beer at blackstackbrewing.com. Go to the Where to Buy page. Also available inside US Bank Stadium during Vikings games. So thanks to our buds at Black Stack Brewing for helping to power Purple Daily all season long here. So if the playoffs started today, here is what your NFC playoff bracket would look like. The Lions would get the bye. The 2-seed Eagles would host the 7-seed Commanders. The 3-seed Seahawks would host the 6-seed Packers. And the 4-seeded Falcons would host the 5-seeded Minnesota Vikings. So you'd actually wind up having 2 6-5 teams hosting a 9-2 team and an 8-3 team from the NFC North.
And the yearly debate now, which this happens every year, will be how does the league not fix this? But they're not going to.
Yeah, there's still, I do like the value, like keeping the value of winning your division. And teams do play different schedules and stuff, but yeah, there's literally the Vikings have a 3-game advantage on 2 of the higher seeded teams, the Seahawks and the Falcons, and the Packers are 2 games up. But yeah, you would have, if you're wondering if the NFL is scripted, this might make you lean into that conspiracy theory a little bit more, because a great first round super wild card matchup would be the drama of Vikings versus Falcons, right?
Yeah, second time. Cousins v. his old team, this time in Atlanta. Now, the good news is, though, that the 2024 Vikings have been very good on the road. So that is the good news.
Yep. So, and we'll get a little preview of that here in a couple of weeks. I'm not convinced. Man, the Falcons have looked really rickety. They did get a bye week, so it might spark them. But the Buccaneers, to me, look like a better team. But haven't the Falcons beat the Buccaneers twice already this year? So
I believe they have.
So the Bucs are a game back of the Falcons, but really they're 2 games back because they've been swept by the Falcons. But we'll see. A couple weeks, man. That's going to be a great noon game that's tucked away that should be a primetime game. Unless they switch it today, right? Isn't today the deadline to flex that Falcons-Vikings game?
I don't think they will either, because I believe, isn't that the same day as like the Simpsons Monday Night Football or like?
Oh,
we had known about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I don't think they're going to change the branding of that
because they already have all the
broadcast
production done for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an incredibly weird, like for a league that does so much right, that is an incredibly weird, like miss that when, or purposeful decision that when they were doing the schedule though, that they're not like, okay, Kirk versus the Vikings needs to be in prime time.
Yeah. It is kind of weird.
Because you didn't have to put it in
put it on a Thursday even, hell, you know? Just put it somewhere.
Anyway, I'm fine with it. You know what? Noon games, I love them. That's fine. Whatever.
It's better for old Kirky boy. Less pressure. Right? He's been better in primetime though.
Which is bad news for the Vikings. If Kirk's playing a noon game.
Yeah, but he has actually been like much better in primetime the last probably 4 years than previously in his career. But all right, those are Judd's pigskin pecking order rankings here. What if the playoffs started today? And we'll be on the lookout. We are on Danny Dimes' watch here with reports circulating that the Vikings are sniffing around Daniel Jones as a backup. So we'll see. Maybe this isn't the last time we talk to you on this Tuesday. Otherwise, we have a Write That Down Wednesday coming tomorrow. Purple Daily, where we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.